Hey guys, so today I am doing a review, demo, and swatch video on the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette. This design was inspired by old school church stained glass windows. It's different and unique. It retails for $62 and it is a Sephora exclusive, as are all of Kat Von D's products. It is limited edition, vegan as well as cruelty free. It comes with 24 shades. Each shade has 0.04 ounces of product in it, which is like a medium amount of product. That is the same amount of product that comes in the smaller pans in the Shade and Light eyeshadow palettes, in case you are curious. Among the 24 of the shades that are in this palette, you get a variety of finishes. You do get 2 of her new top coat glitter veil formulas, these 2 up here. They have a sheer base with a ton of glitter, so those guys are nice and glittery. There is a duochrome, at least one, the Vestment shade, and then there are satin finishes such as Worship and Immaculate, a few metallic type shades. Heaven is one that comes to mind. There's matte shades with glitter such as Ashes and Revelation, and then there's true mattes like Sabbath, Amen, Martyr, Crucifix, Baptism. And then you get a wide variety of colors, everything from really light to pitch black, and then you get a lot of cool shades and then warm shades, some neutrals, and some brights. I do like that there is a wide variety of shades because I feel like it gives me inspiration to be creative and do different types of looks, and that's what drew me to this palette. As far as the arrangement of the shades or the layout, I do think that she made good use of the space and there isn't a lot of wasted space, which I definitely appreciate. Some of her past palettes I felt like were in bulky packaging and there was a lot of negative space. The actual layout is interesting. I think that it does bring to mind a stained glass window. A lot of opposite colors are paired next to each other, such as Devil and Ministry. Those are direct complementary colors. Purple and yellow are complementary colors. So a lot of those juxtapositions, I hate using that word because it reminds me of art school, a lot of those placements or comparisons make the colors look even brighter and more fun and bold. And because of that, I feel like it can be an intimidating palette. It can be a little bit like, wow, those are intense shades. But keep in mind there are anchor shades that you can use to anchor your look or make it more wearable or subtle. A lot of this side, it's divided by Saint and Sinner, and you can see that on the doors of the palette. It says Saint and Sinner. A lot of these shades on the Saint side are a little bit more neutral or a little more subtle, and we also have some neutrals in here that can really anchor your look. I feel like a lot of the Kat Von D palettes in the past have been more in a rainbow arrangement or transitional flow. Almost always prefer my palettes to have that nice transitional rainbow flow, and I don't like a lot of random assortment, but I don't think that this is random. This whole row is really warm. It has these nice trios. We've got a nice layout, even though it is quite mixed. I would say it's mixed as opposed to random. As far as packaging goes, it is a sturdy cardboard packaging. It comes in this box here, and on the back it shows you the colors on the box as well as all the ingredients for all the individual shades. It does come with a mirror. Overall, it feels weighted and really beautiful. I don't like to pull the doors open using the medallion on the front. I like to pull it open using one of the edges because this piece is a lot less sturdy than the rest of the actual piece. And the decorative cover is actually raised, so it reminds me a lot of the original packaging for the Shade and Light. So I was gifted an additional Shade and Light palette. I already had this guy from a long time ago. And you can see the difference in packaging. This one is plastic and this one is a sturdy cardboard. The old one has a slight raise to it and the new plastic one has a much deeper raise. This packaging reminds me of the original Shade and Light palette packaging. I find that it has stayed pretty clean in the couple of weeks I've had this palette. Moving on to what I actually think about the formula. When I first saw pictures on Instagram and all of that, I thought it was stunning, but my first impressions of actually trying these shades on was a disappointment. I thought that a lot of the matte shades were dry and hard to blend. I thought that they came out patchy and not as pigmented as they do when you swatch them. I found that when I first would apply the shades and I would blend, that it would just lose all of its pigmentation and get muddy and grayed out. So those were my first impressions. Now after having used it for so many looks, I don't know if you can see all the dents I've made, but I have really tried this palette out thoroughly, multiple looks a day. Honestly, I really like it now and I do think it's worth a buy. It has very little fallout and it wears a long time on the eyes. The longevity is really good. I find that the creativity and uniqueness factor is the biggest reason I am probably going to keep this palette. It is still dry in my opinion, and the price and blendability, both of those things are also kind of on the cons list. But a couple of tips I can give you is to use, if you have dry lids like I do, to use a hydrating primer, something like a creamy concealer or a sticky base. Either one of those types of primers are going to be your best friend with this palette because it's going to keep that pigmentation vibrant and create that high contrast when you're trying to create these eye looks. And it's also going to stay a lot longer, blend a lot easier. Primer is going to be key. I found that the shades blend well with both synthetic and natural bristle brushes. The only thing I would say is I prefer more densely packed brushes and smaller brushes when I work with this palette. Even when I'm doing a blown out smoky look, I still prefer a smaller, more precise brush because I feel like the shadows tend to overflow their designated zone so that you get that precision and ability to blend without overdoing it. That's just what has worked for me. It's just not my favorite formula in the world, but I think that the colors are so beautiful. Okay, so if you're interested to see how I created this eye look, go ahead and just keep on watching. And at the end, I will be doing both finger and brush swatches of all of the shades if you're interested. I'm taking my Amazing Cosmetics concealer and using this as my eyeshadow primer. To make sure these shadows last a good long while on my skin as well as go on smoothly, I'm going to take a mint, which is the perfect bone type of shade or cream vanilla shade, to create a nice base. This is just going to set the primer or concealer in my case, and I'm patting it on as opposed to sweeping it on, and the smoother this base is, the longer it'll wear and the better the result will be. I find that this palette has very little, if any, fallout. I really didn't have to do my eyeshadow first, but I'm doing that anyway out of habit. I'm going to start with my Pat McGrath liner. You can use any kohl liner. I'm doing it in black. I'm going to lightly line my lash line as well as tight line with it. And then I'm going to extend this just a little bit as if I'm starting a wing. This one is kind of a fat one, so it's not easy to be precise with it. Now I'm taking a stubby little dense brush from my Delium Tools collection, the 758. And I'm going to smoke this little guy out. Obviously you can do this all with powder, but I just find This gives a really good intensity when you layer creams with powders. I'm going into Cathedral with my Morphe R39. I'm going to start in the outer portion of the eye, just starting to place that right where you would like a wing, and then connecting it into the crease. I'm taking this across the top part of the lid and the crease to create that eye shape I'm looking for. You can see it's skipping a little bit. I'm going to look down even more, and you can even pull your eye a little bit if you find it starts to skip. Bring that all the way into the deep part of the eye. I don't want it to be too curved. I want it to be more straight across. I like to think of it as less of a paisley shape and more of an arrow. And a lot of times when I look up from below, it looks more curved because my eyes are round. So based off of your eye shape, you might have to adjust the shape of the eye look you're doing if you're trying to create that straight across look like I am. Sabbath, which is the matte black shade dense brush from IT Cosmetics for Ulta airbrush crease, mimicking what we did with the eyeliner. I'm going to clean up this lower edge here, so I'm not too worried about extending too far down. We'll just clean that right up with a makeup wipe when we're ready. I'm going to go ahead and take this top coat, the Absolution shade, with my flat synthetic brush, and I'm going to pat this over the look. Now with my wet wipe, I'm going to go ahead and clean up this edge. With a small synthetic flat brush, I'm going to go into Heaven, one of my favorite shades in the entire palette. I'm going to start right in the inner corner of the lid and drag that across the center of the lid, and then we'll feather it out. I'm taking my fluffy brush and blending the edges. Now for the inner corner, I'm going to take Exodus. I've used this shade so many times, and I'm going to place that right in the inner corner and start to bring that down into the lower lash line and connect it with my upper lid. You guys know chartreuse is my favorite color. I'm going to take a little bit of Relic, and this is going to make Exodus pop. So I'm going to place that right on top. It's that beautiful gilded yellow gold. And a little bit more Exodus. We're making a nice little sandwich. It's going to make Exodus really metallic and slightly more yellow, kind of acid. For the lower lash line, this part's going to be fun. I'm going to take Vestment, which is one of my favorite shades in this palette. It's that beautiful peacock blue-green. I'm going to start to bring that on the lower lash line. For the lower wing thing, I'm going to go into Ministry. How could I not? This shade is also one of my most used shades from this palette. Overlap the peacock shade we used earlier, Vestment, so that those two shades blend together. Create a clean sweep. You can also use a liner brush, that would work well. Now again, I'm going to clean up that lower edge. Okay, so shout out to Jody from Personal Beauty Lab. Her channel is absolutely amazing. I'll link to it down below. She inspired me to change up how I do my swatching, so I'm going to be doing both brush swatches and finger swatches with my Chikuhodo GSN 9 brush, which is my holy grail natural bristle flat brush. I love it. And I'm gonna be using the Sephora Color Switch by Veramona, and this will just help me clean my brushes in between each color. Lighting I'm gonna be using is natural lighting.
Turn around, I feel the breeze over me. You watch your dreams unfold. Let it come around and let it breathe over me. It's time to go away into the light. I feel the calming energy. I see the darkness coming, and I'm calling you to help me set me free. I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you. Lie all the fate of the world in your plans, guarding your faith with the palm of your hands. I know, yeah, I know. It's the unknown, the unknown. It's time to go away into the light. I feel the calming energy. I see the darkness coming, and I'm calling you to help me set me free.
Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this review, demo, and swatch video. If you're new, subscribe, join my K-Face family. I would love to have you. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. And let me know down below if you plan on picking up this palette, if you have it, what you think. I would love to hear from you. Love you lots, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.